For those that don't know, he is probably the greatest ghostwriter and that I know, running the most killer ghostwriting company, Birdhouse, or the Birdhouse, I should say. And what I really love about Marcos is his offer is the most insane offer that I have ever seen. I remember back when I was ghostwriting, like very seriously, and I stumbled across it, and I believe it was something like, we will scale your info products business agency to like 100, was it like 100K per month or something crazy like that? Like,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
100K,
No.
yeah. They guarantee to make more money than they pay you per month. I believe that was in there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
That's pretty much, yeah. I'll get into it. I have this presentation that I usually give. It's like kind of like a primer, 20 minutes. I'd rather do a lot of Q&A
mhm.
for you guys. Um, but yeah, that was my offer. It still is my offer. It's still my offer to this day. It all reliable. So
Dude, amazing. I've never seen anybody else have the kahunas to do an offer like that. So I got a million questions, but I'll let you get into the presentation first and I'll save them for after. So floor is yours, my man.
cool. Sweet, sweet. So this is just a little master class on um content pillars, monetizing both your personal brand and your clients. Assuming you guys are creating content for both yourself and clients, or at least one of them, this should be applicable to you. So, for those who don't know me, Marcos, CEO of the Birdhouse. We build scaled monetized personal brands on X and LinkedIn, mostly X, but LinkedIn's on there as well because it's easy. But X has been kind of how I made a name for myself, formerly known as Twitter. Been doing this since July 2022. So we're going up on a 2-year anniversary. So expanded to LinkedIn in 2024. But yeah, it's been great. So these are just it's just a collage of social proof. Yes, as he mentioned, my offer has and always has. It's always been you're going to make more money than you pay us, and that's because we help clients go viral. But not only that, we help them actually monetize that virality. These stats also are terrible compared to what we do now. I just want to say this masterclass was made like 6 months ago, and we have 6 stats now. If you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen, but this is just a couple. So I'm going to go over the pesto pillars. These are the 5 content pillars that I recommend to everybody who is trying to grow their personal brand on any platform in any medium, whether it's video, writing, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. And this is what we still apply to this day for our clients. So the 5 pillars, starting with P, is personal. And this is going to be all of your storytelling, your behind the scenes, your family life. If you follow me, you see I'm often posting when I'm traveling and stuff like that. This could be your my story style videos, anything like that. These are really good for nurture and kind of building an actually engaged audience. This is what's going to have people actually buying from you and not just liking your posts and stuff like that. What I often tell clients who are selling info product is I say people buy the coach, not the coaching. So writing stories and showing your family life is going to help you be more relatable and actually convert and nurture a lot of these followers that you're gaining. So that's the personal pillar. And these are just some examples from familiar faces on the timeline, especially if you're in the agency space, fitness space. I think everyone knows Sahil Bloom. So I find examples from people you know to show you that everybody is kind of doing this, even if they don't know they are. So the next pillar is going to be expertise. So this is your how-tos, your listicles, your frameworks, your mental models. I'm literally giving you one right now, the pesto pillars. And these are just more examples from more familiar faces in the space. This could be your acronyms. This can be just a list of things. And the reason I have stars on how-tos and listicles is actually there was a study done at the beginning of 2024, and I learned this from Neil Patel, and it's that how-tos and listicles are the top 2 performing pieces of written content across the entire internet. So the entire internet, in terms of written content, how-tos and listicles are the top 2 highest performing styles of content. So anytime you do a how-to, how I, etc., or anytime you can put things in a list, it's going to be your highest performing piece of content according to the stats. And I've definitely found the same to be true over a long enough time horizon. I'd say mental models and frameworks can be a little bit more hit or miss. Like pesto pillars sounds cool, but when it comes to actual content, it's not like amazing. But how tos and listicles just hit every time. So this expertise content is what's going to actually position you as an authority and show people what you know, show your stuff. So the next pillar is going to be social proof. So this in the last pillar, we're kind of showing why we're an authority. This is kind of like, okay, prove it. Hi, Talon. You're in this presentation. So this is case studies, client wins, testimonials. I literally started this presentation with social proof. If you follow me, you know I heavily lean on this one. I think 90% of my content now is social proof. And the reason for that is that I try to tell people is that think of all these content pillars as starting at 20% each, and then you can kind of dial the slider more or less on each content pillar based on what works. So for me, social proof is just killer. It's what gets me the most clients, gets me the most engagement. So it's like literally any statistic that I care about, social proof does the best on my profile. So I do like 80% social proof. I don't even do how-tos or anything like that anymore, but that was only found out by actually doing the 5 pesto pillars in the first place. So, and I do this for clients too. Like I don't actually have sliders, but in my head, I have sliders where I'm like, okay, this client, his how-tos and his expertise crushes. We're going 50% on expertise or 50% on opinions if you follow like Nick Huber or someone like that. So social proof, really important. And you can see here, this is one of my case studies that I wrote like over a year ago. Jesus, getting old. Trending. So trending, one of the most underrated pillars. I actually posted something like this today. Trending is essentially just taking advantage of popular topics, industry news, etc., and using it to your advantage. The most popular one to understand that I always talk about was the ChatGPT days. I know Talon remembers everybody was just spamming ChatGPT threads and auto DMs for like 3 months because it was just like guaranteed virality. It was insane. So this is essentially taking advantage of that. But what I try to stress is taking advantage of it, but then also correlating it back to your industry or back to your expertise or your niche. So, like for example, I wouldn't do just like 5 Google Chrome extensions or 5 ChatGPT hacks. I would say, okay, how do you use ChatGPT to actually create Twitter threads or to create Twitter content? And I actually did do that. You can find it probably a year ago. I did one today, which was more of a meme, but it was also a trending thing. If you guys have been keeping up with like the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, I made like a funny meme tweet that had like the birdhouse logo, and you'll understand it if you see it, but if you don't keep up with it, don't worry about it. It's an example of a trending tweet. And I got some examples here, familiar faces once again. Cody Sanchez doing the Chat GPT thing, Jason Levin taking advantage of the Apple Vision Pro, and look how many impressions he got. He has less followers than me. Jesse did this when Zuck there was like the whole Zuck thing going around. So this is just ways that you can kind of take advantage of it. And this is the pillar that's probably going to get you the most virality, the least amount of sales. But it's important if you can actually tie it back to your niche, this virality will turn into a lot of followers that you can then nurture with your personal, your expertise, your social proof, etc. So think of trending as probably the least amount of nurture, but the most amount of virality. So if you're craving virality, I'd probably lean into the trending. And then the last pillar is going to be opinions. So this one's important. This is going to be the pillar that draws a line in the sand, and it does one of 2 things with your audience. They're either going to agree with you and join your side and follow you and like it, etc., or they're going to disagree with you and they're probably going to engage with your content anyway. So it's a win-win. The important part about opinions is to tell your actual opinions and not just say controversial stuff that you don't believe in, because that's how you nuke your personal brand and just destroy your reputation. Don't do that. So here's an example of one that I said is like, if you think you're too cool for platitudes, you're not. It's just proven content frameworks. And I've stuck by that for years. That's one of my big opinions about my industry. And Nick Huber almost exclusively posts opinions. So if you want an example on how to do opinions well, Nick Huber is one of them. He's got a ton of followers, one of the biggest in the space. So this is another big important one for an actual nurture, but it also can get you virality if you do it the right way. So those 5 content pillars, super important. Those are the only 5 content pillars that really right. Okay, so inbound lead gen, make money. Core 4, hand raisers and call to actions, social proof and expertise, which we talked about, profile optimization, and results. That's the actually most important one, but we'll get there. So these are just some examples of inbound leads that I generated. And I like to grab screenshots of when I started. So this presentation is actually new, but I made sure I went back to like first few months of business so that it's actually relatable, because sometimes I feel like people do these presentations and it's like they already are successful and then they try to show what's working, but you can't really show. So I go back and grab stuff that when I was in your shoes. So this is my old profile picture from like November 2022. These are the tweets I was making back then, and these are the tweets we make now for clients in very similar ways. So these are just social proof tweets that I made of testimonials, and this is the actual corresponding. I went back. This is the corresponding screenshot that I remember getting. So it's weird, but it's like the actual inbound lead I got. Yo, I saw what you're doing bits with Twitter marketing. I don't even know. But this is what it actually looks like out in the wild, real raw stuff. And I have a bunch more like this, so I'll keep showing you. So this was an example of the hand raiser I was doing at the time. My hand raisers now look much different. They're much more like the offer I was telling Talon. But it was like looking for 2 to 3 CEOs who want to take their Twitter to the next level. Hands free, done for you. And it was literally a screenshot of like my only client at the time. Because a lot of people ask me, like, oh, well, I don't have any social proof. So what do I do? Just you got to stack it. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But this is my only client at the time. So I was just spamming the screenshot. And this is a hand raiser tweet, essentially a call to action right on the timeline for people to DM me. And this is just how I'm generating inbound leads at the time. And I still do this to this day, probably like once a month, you'll see on my timeline. And then these are just even more inbound leads. These are referrals, which I really wanted to get into as well. And just people interested in my thing. So I'm going to start with the one in the top left. So this one that says tweet, this was a call to action that I did, where it's essentially that tweet plus DM me keyword tweet if you're interested. That's just a tactic that you can use. And this is an example of someone actually interested, and this person converted to a client and is still my client to this day. So that's 14, 15 months in a row of still my client to this day, to a call to action that was just like, DM me the word tweet if you're interested. This was another one that this guy just randomly DM'd me. He said, thanks to the auto DM, by the way. And then he's like, just read your pinned thread. I want to be your next case study. So it was my pinned case study thread that I showed you earlier. He DMs me. He's like, looking to fire my current ghostwriter. It's probably one of you guys. No, I'm just kidding. But he's like, yeah, you want to make me your next case study? I'm like, well, yeah. So I feel like I built my whole business on inbound, but I really didn't, which we'll get into later. But and then these are some examples of referrals, which the most important thing about any of this is that you actually get results and you're actually good at what you do, because referrals is what's actually going to build your business to the next level after you get those first few. So I want to have a couple of referrals in here just so you can see what they look like. All right, a little bit about profile optimization, because this one's like, it's interesting. I think there's a lot of nuance when it comes to profiles. It could be done successfully in so many different ways. But I wanted to go over a few key things. One is the thing that I just talked about, which was my pin thread. I always have some form of social proof pin. You could see it to this day. Actually now, which is interesting, I took this in, I want to say February or March. I took this screenshot. So this was my old one. My current pinned tweet is a tweet of me in 2022 saying like, Twitter is going to be such a big app, this, that, and the other. And it's actually just a version of like a PSYOP where I pin an old tweet to show that I'm an OG to kind of crush the new guys like you. So that's like my current pin tweet. But the point is that you should pin some sort of social proof. Whatever you think is going to be the highest likelihood of driving inbound leads, that should be your pin tweet. Also really important is who follows you. These are the actual things that matter when it comes to lead gen. Who follows you is far more important than how many followers you have. I started with a few thousand followers because I've been on Twitter for like 15 years. But who followed me was 0. So what do? I join groups just like this, the one you're in right now, and I started networking with everyone. At the time, it was JK's, who doesn't do this anymore, but he had a low ticket group, and I joined and I started networking with everybody in there. I made engagement groups on Telegram, and I started slowly getting notable followers, right? We all have a couple thousand followers, and building up that way and networking. And then Talon follows me, and then Dakota follows me, and it builds up that way. So you guys are in the right place for this, and I'll answer questions about it, but it's basically just networking. But that's really important. These are the two things that no one really talks about, but they're by far the two most important things for your profile. And then with your actual bio and stuff, who you are, what you do, why people should follow. It's like, you already know that. I'm sure Taylor taught you. So I don't want to talk about it. All right, outbound DMs, good stuff. This is how I got my first few clients. So there's 3 kinds of DMs in my eyes: cold, warm, hot. So we're going to focus on cold and warm because a hot lead is just someone who DMs you first, which I just covered. So cold and warm is the actual outbound stuff. So cold DMs, 2 tips. especially if you have no clients. So if you have no clients, this one is especially on you. If you're like drowning in client work, probably not. Send as many as the platform allows. And the reason I say that is because when I was sending cold DMs, I remember I kept hitting the limit and they kept banning me. They were like, you can't send any more DMs. I feel like they don't do it anymore, but if they do, just send as many as the platform allows. I know LinkedIn for sure has all sorts of limits, but send as many as platform allows. And it's consistency over the amount you can do once. And the reason I say that is because it's far better if you could send 50 a day for 3 months than if you just send 500 and then you burn out and never send them again. So create some sort of cadence that you can actually stick to, especially if I haven't actually looked in the crowd, but if you guys have like kids and a real life and stuff like that, just focus on the consistency and not so much just trying to ram it all at once. Trust me, it's really important. And this is an example. You could just steal the script of the outbound that I did that got me my first ever client. So this is literally my first ever client that I got from Twitter. Hey man, I love the data barrier you're breaking down with. I don't fucking know. I was glazing. You're really closing the gap for the little guy. I'm reaching out because I wanted to see if you'd be interested in getting 10,000 followers in 10 weeks. So I don't know if you guys know this, but the OG like ghostwriting offer back in the day was 10,000 followers in 10 weeks, or I'll work for free until you do. It backfired heavily because I didn't know what I was doing and I actually had to work for free until they did. I was like, wait a minute, but we'll get to that. So this was the DM that got me my first ever client. I ended up signing him for 1K a month and then he churned after like 1 month. I didn't actually do the 10K follower guarantee with this guy. But what valuable thing that did come from that was I got a couple of cool screenshots that were testimonials where he was like, oh, we just got like 7 SaaS trials and stuff like that. I ultimately found out I don't want to write for SaaS guys. But that was the first amount of social proof where I then went and turned it and started stacking that, posting that on the timeline and actually stacking social proof to then get more clients. And the rest is history. And we'll get into that if you want. But this was, again, the first cold DM that got me a client. These are just a couple of CRMs that I want to drop. I actually don't recommend this first one anymore, but Phantom Buster, I still use this to this day and recommend it to clients. If you need to scrape any leads, you can scrape the followers of Alex Hormozy. I literally still have that sheet to this day. I scrape the followers of Alex Hormozy and just sent all them DMs. This is the tool that I recommend. And then for CRM, I don't recommend this anymore. Just use Notion or Sheets. Okay, warm DMs. So warm DMs are bread and butter. To this day, I still do this myself. So new followers, comments, retweets, quotes, likes, old followers. The reason I put this in a pyramid, this is in order, warmest to coldest in terms of the leads that you're going to get from your content. And this is the same for clients, wink, wink, the leads that they're going to get from their content. So the warmest people you're going to get from your content are going to be the people who follow you. Obviously, these are people that are literally, they're saying, hey, I'm interested. So DMing those people, hey, thanks for the follow, XYZ. That's your warmest lead. And then in order down, comments, retweets, quotes, likes, old followers. So if you are an agency owner, ghostwriter, freelancer, whatever, you can be doing this, reaching out to everyone who follows you, everyone who comments, everyone who retweets, start conversations, check out their profile, see if you think they'd be a good fit. And this is the best way to do outbound lead gen, in my opinion. To this day, if someone follows me and they're like a beast or something, I'm like, that person would be a sick person to work with, I will still DM them. Hey, bro, just saw you followed me, this, that, and the other, and start the conversation. So I do this for myself, and all of our clients do this with their setters if they have setters, or themselves if they don't have setters. So super important. Warm DMs, bread and butter, best way to do outbound. And this is just an example. So hey, appreciate the follows, checking your website, super interesting. Never seen I don't forget what it was, but something company before. This is one that I did literally like 3 months ago that led to a client. So like I said, I still do this. Practice what you preach, right? And you guys should have the recording of this. Sorry if you're writing stuff. Some tips on DMs, because I see a lot of people talking about templates and scripts. And I'm giving you examples, but I don't follow a script. I usually just wing it, because being a human is far better than being an AI when it comes to actually landing whale clients. If you're going to go fishing and just get like some low level clients, they'll probably fall into, copy paste over and over and over. But for the most part, the best clients are going to come from being a human. So learn to have a conversations, lead with value. I always lead with value. Someone who just followed me was Jordan Welsh, the big YouTuber. I literally DM'd him cold and was like, hey, this looks sick. Looks like you got it from my client. Why don't you come to the source and work with me? He said no, but then he followed me. And then I gave him value on how to up his Twitter profile. So that's a true story. But anyways, learn to have a conversation with lead with people. If I had DM'd him and just said like some robotic thing, there's no way he would have answered. He probably would have blocked me. But only reach out to people you can genuinely help. And I'm serious about that one. If you reach out to people you genuinely help, you can genuinely help. You'll actually have conviction. If you actually have conviction, you're far more likely to be convincing in your argument. So that's something that I still stick by. I don't reach out to people that I don't think we can help because they're going to be a headache anyway. Promise. All right, personal brand math. So this one's fun. This is the last thing before we get into like Q&A. So personal brand math is something that I kind of just made up, but it's something that I do with our clients to essentially predictably make money from the content that we're creating, which allows me to, with math, prove to them that they should be doing this with our content. They should be making this much money. They should be booking this many calls. And the reason I do this is because one of the biggest things that you're going to have to do as freelancer and agency owner, whatever, is essentially prove your worth to clients and show them that they're making money. And not every client is going to have high rows tracking and be able to track every individual piece of every individual sale back to your content. So this is what I kind of invented to help track. So for example, and you can use this for yourself, wink, wink, to know how many calls you should book to make sales. So you gain 1,000 followers this month. How many calls should you book? A good follower to call ratio, anywhere from 10 to 40. I would even say 10 to 50. And I'll explain what a follower to call ratio is. So let's just say 40, 50 is a good follower to call ratio. You have 1,000 followers divided by a 40 follower to call ratio. So for every 40 new followers, because you're doing warm outbound, you book a call, you book 25 calls. What's a good show rate and close rate? 80% show rate, 20% close rate. Super standard. My close rate's like 35%. My show rate's like 90%. But when you're starting out, it's going to be far worse because you're far worse, right? So good show rate, good close rate. 25 calls, 80% show. You have 20 sales calls that you actually sat down and took. Times a 20% close rate, you've got 4 new deals. I don't know what you guys charge. I charge more than 5K a month. My LTV is a lot. So 4 new deals a month is very good. So this is personal brand math. And now you can now extrapolate this not only for yourself, but to your clients, especially if you're doing info products. How much is a deal worth to them? And now you can literally just make it make sense on the sales call before you close them, because people are gonna be like, oh, I don't know. Who's sat here and tried to convince someone that brand is worth it? I hate it. It sucks. So I just do this. I'm like, if we gain 1 to 2,000 followers a month, do this. This is how much money you should, in theory, make. 100% of the time works every time, right? So 4 new deals, 2,500 a month, which is probably closer to the prices you guys are charging, 10K a month. Bada bing, bada boom. So if you gained 1,000 followers last month and you didn't make 10,000 new dollars, you got to fix something. All right. So it's probably your follower to call conversion because you're not doing warm outbound. Might be your scripts, might be your show rate, might be your close rate. And you see, you just have to, it's theory of constraints. You're just picking up which number sucks and then fixing it. That's what you do as a business owner, literally forever. So this is personal brand math. And I hope that was helpful. Bonus. I don't remember what it was. I'm scared. Oh yeah. Closer framework. So this is what I use to close sales still to this day, because I suck at sales. I'm introvert. I'm like a gamer. I literally have my Xbox controller right here. Like, I hate sales. And I know everyone here probably hates sales. That's why you're a ghostwriter, right? Or a freelancer and agency owner. I feel like if you're good at closing, you're probably not here. So I use this. It's from Alex Hormozy. I don't know where he got it, but it's essentially just a 6-step. I never even do the reinforce their decision, to be honest. So for me, it's 5-step process for closing sales. And the way it works is like when someone gets on the call, I have a 45-minute call set up, and I'm just like, hey, why'd you book the call? Okay, so this is your problem. Have you worked on this before? I literally give them my offer. They give me objections. I handle the objections. It's like so simple. I've been using this every sales call. I've taken like 250 sales calls the past few years. So figured I'd leave you with that because it's really easy to close sales with this, especially if you're actually good. Oh, and since you guys are recording this, this is good. This is like the actual exact questions you can use and script and everything. So I don't know if you expected a sales script, but this is really good. I also don't know if you teach something different, Talon, but I figured I'd give them some sort of sales script. So this is a banger. I've been using this every time for my entire career. So literally Jim launched down here. So he might have invented it. I don't know. But yeah, closer framework. And that's it. That's the presentation. So I guess we can I'll let Taylor take control again and then we can go from there.
Dude, hell yeah. Insane amounts of value. I love this breakdown.